and we're happy to visit with him. And Damien, man, there's an energy with these two rookies, Dart and Skattebo, that if any franchise, really if any football city needed an injection of adrenaline, it was New York City, and they have gotten it in these two. I'll give you the floor. Where do you want to start between those two of who most impresses you tonight against the reigning champs?
Scotty, it's hard for me to pick which one. I mean, listen, you talk about both of these guys. I said a couple weeks ago against the Chargers, they brought so much juice. It was literally jumping out of the screen. It was the same way tonight between Jackson Dart and utilizing his legs to get out of all sorts of trouble and making plays down the field, and Cam Skattebo with his physicality in the
You're talking about a defense that gets to, take a rest. You could put your feet up and put your house shoes on, though. They went 11 for 16 on third down. Like, that's such a critical stat in this league. And they managed to possess the ball, stay on the field, and there's the juice. But I want to go back to last week, because after they beat the unbeaten Chargers, they go on the road, turn it over the last 5 times they have it to lose to a winless team in New Orleans. And I guess what I'm saying is, looking at the sandwich of the wins against the teams they beat with the loss in the middle, I presume that's just the cost of doing business with a young team, or I should say a couple of young players, but it's got to be worth it in the long run for New York, right?
Absolutely. This is the cost of doing business when you're playing a couple young guys at critical positions. You're going to have games like tonight. You're going to have games like last week on the road down in the Superdome, and they committed 5 turnovers. So that comes with it, but that trajectory, all you want is that trajectory going upward, and that's where this Giant team seems like they're headed right now.
The next two are pretty rugged, at Denver, at Philadelphia, and then San Francisco comes in. So, I mean, listen, they're going to keep getting a chance to prove it week to week. But this night against this team, who they had gotten worked by in prime time 10 straight times, got to be satisfying. Now, in the highlight, Damien, I showed the 4 in a row of the tush push. And, I mean, just your reaction to just watching it 4 straight times? You're shaking your head. What are you saying? What words do you put with that head shake?
I'm literally watching the game. I'm like, this is hideous. This is not football. I understand, I've been a guy. What entertainment aspect of this that is pleasurable to the public out here? It's just a hideous play to watch it 4 times in a row. Listen, I think the NFL is going to do something about it this offseason, as they should.
All right, I'll put myself in the shoes of an Eagle fan who would say stop it. Right? Just stop the play. And they coach it well. I'd say they execute it well. I think it drives people nuts that in slow motion we can see false starts on quite a few of these snaps. But where I land with this, not as an Eagle fan, but just as a football fan, is there has to be a better reason than just we don't like it. And that's really all anyone says, Damien. We don't like it. I don't like watching it. I don't like when there's a given in sports. And that's really all anyone says is we don't like it. It's not a player safety thing. Guys don't get hurt a ton. Although there was a Giant that got hurt on one of those plays. I just think mostly what I hear is we don't like it. Isn't that what this is?
I mean, listen, that's basically what it is. But again, I'm going to say the NFL is about entertainment.
I agree.
And again, what is entertainment about watching 4 straight tush pushes in a row by the Philadelphia being executed like this?
We agree, but I still think it's just mostly people saying we don't like it. That's not nearly as important as what you think about Philadelphia in total, because I made the point last night, felt like we've done this the last 2 years, a lot of scrutiny about who they are, and they still win a ton of games. Well, now they've lost a couple in a row, and I'm interested in where you see this team 6 games in at 4-2, still for the moment leading the NFC East.
Scotty, they're very predictable on offense. I mean, you got your quarterback lining up in the shotgun about 8. Last game is almost non-existent. There's a lot of tells that you can do just watching the Philadelphia offensively, because if I can see it, you better believe that the opposition, the coaches who are scouting these things much more than I am, they can see it as well.
Yeah, a lot of introspection among the group this week, and then they go out and get doubled up by the Giants in a standalone spot. So they got a couple of games before their bye. I'm sure they'll be working on it in Philadelphia. Damien, my love to your family as always, and look forward to seeing you here in person or next week or whenever it is. All right?
Absolutely.
What a night and things of that nature. And Cam Skattebo has thrown on a headset to join us now. Cam, hey, it's Scott Van Pelt here on SportsCenter. What a night for you and your guys. And, man, I know that you weren't alive for some of these losses for the Giants against Philly in primetime, but just how aware were you of how things had gone recently when you and Philadelphia have played?
I just know that I read something this morning that there was a 10-game or a 10-year streak of not winning on Thursday Night Football. And, you know, I looked at Jackson. I said, we're going to change that tonight. So that was kind of the one stat. I haven't really paid attention to New York and Philly, but the main one was, you know, the 10 years on Thursday Night Football not winning. So, you know, we had to switch that over.
Well, you all are now 1-0, and I'm going to get to your quarterback in a minute. But, I mean, the highlights that we showed, I think, look, you became something of a cult hero back in college down there for Arizona State. But then, like, you know, you're plowing through guys, and then you're doing backflips. Your energy is so infectious. How aware are you of the way you're able to impact not just your offense, but your entire team, Cam? Yeah,
I mean, you know, this Coach Dayball and Joe, you know, they drafted me for a reason. They seen the energy I had. They seen the player I am. You know, that's what I'm going to bring to this team. I'm going to continue to bring it. The high energy fuels these guys. And when I first got here, the energy wasn't there. And I felt that. And I knew, you know, I needed to kind of build my way in. I dealt with a couple injuries when I first got here. And, you know, I knew I needed to build my way in and continue to get these guys' trust and respect. And once that kind of took off and I earned these guys' trust and respect, you know, I started being really myself. And these guys really started to buy in and, you know, give me energy back and show that, you know, they want to work hard to win football games.
That's tricky, right? When you're a rookie, right? And these are grown men who've been here. I mean, you can't just walk in and start yelling at everybody. They're going to look like, who the hell is this guy? But as you and Jackson are able to put it on tape, as they say in this league, how do you feel the buy-in? Because I felt like we could see it tonight, man. Your defense is on the bench going nuts, waving towels. Like, how much do you feel it growing in these weeks that you've been out there?
I mean, it's been nothing but growth. You know, you could feel these guys buying in. You know, Coach Dayball's bringing that energy and that fire, and everyone's really buying into each other, no matter what. Trying to keep all the outside stuff away and focus on, you know, the 53 men that are in the building every single day, that are fighting the battlefield every single day. So, you know, continuing to, you know, fight and battle has been awesome with these guys, and I can't wait to see what the future holds.
Well, the future's got a couple of tough road games at Denver and at Philadelphia, but that's for down the road. I must admit that as I looked at him being your quarterback, I look at you and I think a couple of young guys that got the city. They got the city in the palm of their hand and got a long weekend ahead of them. I mean, you got to make sure. That's a tough city. There's a lot of distractions out there. How do you manage, Cam, to keep the main thing and not let all of the outside noise and temptations of what the city could offer? I see you shaking your head. That holds no intrigue, huh?
I'll be playing video games, taking care of my body. You know, there's not a thing that can get me out of the zone of football right now. Just continuing to work and make sure that, you know, these guys are staying focused and, like I said, bringing the energy to make sure that these guys know I'm locked in and we're all locked in together.
Hell yeah, that makes a ton of sense. You do whatever you want, but mostly take care of that body, rest and recover, and enjoy the ride, man. It was a lot of fun watching you and your teammates play tonight. You were fantastic. I appreciate you taking a little bit of time, Cam.
Absolutely, thank you.
Jackson Dart won his first start against the Chargers. Then they lost on the road to a winless New Orleans team, now hosting the reigning champions. A touchdown. What's up, Jackson Dart? 7-3. Next, Giants draw Wan'Dale Robinson. Giants first time in the last 45 years they scored a touchdown on each of the first 2 possessions in consecutive games. Jordan Davis showing Dart some, but you see Dart giving a high five because he knew his guy was in. Dart's the youngest quarterback. Positivity in New York, but Jackson Dart will learn that they'll turn on you quick if you don't win in that city, man. They're all about winning, and they did. They did to start Week 6. Damian Woody is back with an eye on a couple of games this week. I want to start with the glamour game on paper. It's Detroit at Kansas City. Since Week 1 when the Lions weren't very good, they've been awesome. Kansas City, meanwhile, if they were to drop this one at home, would be 2-4. That's a team I just can't mentally quit on. But if they're 2-4, if they lose this game, where would you be regarding Kansas City?
Yeah, Scotty, I'm not ready to jump ship yet on the Kansas City Chiefs, even if they lose this one. primarily because no one's running away in the division. Obviously, the Denver Broncos, they're 3-2. They got a game against the Jets. They should win that game. But Kansas City, in my opinion, is still squarely in this thing. They're going to get Rashee Rice back pretty soon. So, listen, we still got a long ways to go. I'm not ready to jump ship on the Kansas City Chiefs just yet.
I thought the most surprising thing Monday night was just the turnovers. Actually, the pick was an amazing play from Lloyd, but they had 13 penalties. You just don't see Reed's teams do that often. You imagine they'd clean that up. Now, the team they lost to in Jacksonville, we were there for Monday Night Football. Short week, but they welcomed Seattle off of probably a pretty tough loss and a really entertaining game out in Seattle. It's the dreaded 1 o'clock window game for a West Coast team. So you got some short week and travel circumstances. Does any of what happened last week bleed into this game, or are professionals able to kind of flush that and move into the here and now?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think from the Jacksonville Jaguars, it came off an emotional game, emotional win against the Kansas City Chiefs, one of the dominant teams in the AFC over the past decade. And so how do you react off of that? You're still in the early stages of a program that's learning how to win and handle success. How do you deal with that? And, this next challenge is a very good Seattle Seahawks team that lost a heartbreaker at the end of the game to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So this will be a great challenge for Jacksonville. And also, Sam Darnold is playing extremely well. So it's going to be interesting to see how this whole game plays out between those two ball clubs.
The Jacksonville team's got 14 takeaways after they only had 9 for a whole season. They're telling me we got to wrap. I'm asking you a